Hello friends, I welcome you all on my YouTube channel Rasayan Setu. So friends, in this video, we are going to discuss previous year questions of coordination chemistry which was asked in CSIR NET June 2016 exam. Okay, so now see, this is your first question and it says this complex shows absorption band at 8500, 15,400 and 26,000 centimeter inverse, where this complex at 10,750, 17,000, 1,500 and 28,200 centimeter inverse. Okay, so now in this complex L and L dash are respectively, and we have four options. Okay, so friends, in this question we have absorption bands related to these two complexes, and in these in these complexes we have L and L dash ligands. Okay, so you must find that what are the L and L dash ligands out of these four options. Okay, and this question is coming for 2 marks. Okay, so that means this question is related to your part B. Understand? Okay, so let's do the solution of this question, friends. Now friends, when you carefully observe the question, so according to your given data of absorption bands for different complexes, you clearly see that for first complex these absorption bands are low energy absorption bands. Okay, and for second complex in which the ligands is L dash, so these absorption bands are corresponding to your strong high energy absorption band, and you know very well that low energy absorption bands corresponds to weak field ligand. Okay, and high energy absorption bands corresponds to your strong field ligand. That means in the complex with low energy absorption band means the L is a weak field ligand, and in the second complex with high energy absorption means the L dash are strong field ligands. Okay, so you must check in your option, in your given option, that what ligand is a strong field and what ligand is a weak field. Okay, so now here I write that for first complex low energy absorption bands corresponds to weak field ligand. And in second complex high energy absorption bands corresponds to strong field ligand. Okay, that means L is weak field and L dash is strong field ligand. Okay, means L is weak field ligand and L dash is strong field ligand. Okay, so now on the basis of this conclusion, we clearly see that your option number 4 matches with this statement. That is, option number 4 contain L, that is H2O, which is a weak ligand, and L dash as NH3, which is a strong field ligand. Okay, so now your option 4 is the correct answer for this question, because H2O is weak field ligand, which is L in your question, and NH3 is strong field ligand, which is L dash according to your question. Okay, so option 4 is the correct answer for this question. So now we move towards our next question, and see, it says the correct shape of this complex or tellurium ion on the basis of VSEPR theory is, and we have 4 options. So friends, you must find the structure of this given ion according to your concept of VSEPR theory, and this question is also coming for 2 marks. That means this question is also related to your part B. Okay, so now let's do the solution of this question. Here we have this complex, that is tellurium F5 negative. Okay, so now in this complex, first of all we have tellurium ion, and the electronic configuration is for tellurium ion is 5s2 5p4. okay, 5s2 5p4, and this -1 is a formal charge present on tellurium ions. Remember, this -1 is formal charge present on tellurium. Okay, so according to VSEPR theory, its hybridization will be sp3d2, out of which so that means here we use 6 orbitals. According to this hybridization, it has 6 orbitals for bonding, out of which one orbital consists a lone pair of electron, and in 5 orbitals there is a bond in between tellurium and fluorine ions. Okay, so the hybridization is sp3d2 and its structure will be square pyramidal. Its structure will be square pyramidal. Okay, so its hybridization is sp3d2 and structure is square pyramidal, one lone pair present, and we can't count lone pair in structure deciding. Okay, so according to this result, your option second is the correct answer for this question. Okay, option second, that is square pyramidal structure according to VSEPR theory. Now we move towards our next question, and see, it says chelate effect is, and we have 4 options, and you must choose the right option out of these 4 options. That is predominantly due to enthalpy change, or predominantly due to entropy change independent of ring size, or due to equal contribution of entropy and enthalpy change. Okay, and this question is also asked for 2 marks. That means it is also related to your part B. So let's do the solution of this question, friends. Now first of all, what is chelate effect? Now chelate effect is the enhanced affinity of a chelating ligand for a metal ion compared to its monodentate ligand. Definition of chelate effect. Okay, the chelate effect is the enhanced affinity of a chelating ligand for a metal ion compared to its monodentate ligand. Now that means when in any complex there is a possibility of bond in between metal ion and a monodentate ligand and metal ion and bidentate or tridentate ligand, then in this condition always preferably form complex is by the metal ion and the mono and with that bidentate or tridentate ligand. Okay, or we can simply understand this theory by an example. Okay, I must explain on the basis of this given example. See carefully. Now we take an example for a bidentate in which we take a reaction in between complex ion complex of cobalt and in between ethylene diamine, that is your that is your bidentate ligand. Okay, so now first of all we take an example. So for example, ethylene diamine is a bidentate ligand that binds metal ion more strongly than monodentate amine ligands. Okay, this definition is clear on the basis of this example. See, En is a bidentate ligand. Ethylene diamine is a bidentate ligand. That means it has two nitrogen sites for binding with metal ion. Okay, that's why it is a bidentate. Bi means two. It has two nitrogen sites for bonding with metal ion. Okay, so En is a bidentate ligand that binds metal ion more strongly than monodentate ligand like NH3. Okay, so that means here NH3 also has a nitrogen sites for binding with metal ion. Okay, but it is a monodentate ligand. It means it has only single nitrogen, but En is a bidentate because it has two nitrogen, so it binds more strongly compared than its monodentate ligand. Okay, so this definition is clear by this example. So chelate effect is enhanced affinity of a chelating ligand for a metal ion compared to its monodentate ligand, and we can clear this definition by taking this example. So we take an example for as a ethylene diamine and only a single amine. Okay, so it means multidentate ligands can bind more tightly because of the chelate effect. So chelate effect is the reason behind the extra stability of your multidentate ligand containing compounds. Okay, so it is also a factor of stability in your coordinating complexes. Okay, so it means multidentate ligands bind more tightly because of this chelate effect. Because of the chelate effect. Now we understand this chelate effect with taking a single example. So the example is we take a reaction in between this hexa-coordinated complex of cobalt 3N with 3 moles of ethylene diamine. 3 moles of ethylene diamine. So when this reaction proceeds, you clearly see that substitution of this 6 NH3 ligands occur by these 3 ethylene diamine ligands. So here this is the final product. This is the substrate and this is the final product. So in final product we have 3 chelating ligands. It is also a hexacoordinated complex, octahedral complex. It is also hexacoordinated octahedral complex, but in this complex it has 6 NH3 ligands, but it has only 3 ethylene diamine ligands. Okay, so here chelate effect is observed. Okay, so in this complex this is ethylene diamine can bind more tightly with this cobalt metal atom due to this chelate effect. Okay, okay. So now when you see your question, they will ask you that chelate effect is predominantly due to enthalpy change or entropy change, or due to equal contribution of entropy and so that means after this conclusion we may talk about the enthalpy and entropy change during this reaction or during the chelate effect. Okay, so now when we talk about enthalpy change, first of all we talk about enthalpy change. So when a reaction is performed in between the chelating ligands and a monodentate ligand containing compounds, so in this type of reactions the enthalpy change is almost zero. That's why enthalpy is not a major driving factor in the chelate effect. Okay, so first of all we conclude that in this reaction enthalpy change is almost zero. So it is not a major driving factor. So it is not a major driving factor in the chelate effect. So that means chelate effect is not predominantly due to enthalpy change. So option number 1 is cancel out. Understood? Now we take entropy change. So now when we talk about entropy change in chelate effect, here in this reaction you clearly see that when a chelating ligand replaces monodentate ligand, there is an increase in number of free molecules in the system. When a chelating ligand replaces monodentate ligand, there is a increase in the number of free molecules in the system, and when there is an increase in number of free molecules, that means the entropy change is positive. Okay, because in this case entropy change is positive, that means entropy increase. So that means entropy is the primary driving factor for this chelate effect. We conclude that enthalpy change is almost zero, but here entropy change is considerable. How? See, in the substrate side it has one substrate and 3 molecules of ethylene diamine, that means total 4 molecules present in the substrate side. But when this chelating ligand replace this NH3 ligand, so now after the reaction completion, see here 1 molecule of product and 6 molecules of NH3 ligands are present in your reaction solution. So here 1 plus 6, 7 free molecules are present after reaction, where 4 free molecules present before reaction. So that means here entropy change is considerable. Here entropy is considerably increase in chelate effect. Understand? Okay. So when a chelating ligand replaces monodentate ligand. The result is an increase in the number of free molecules in the system, meaning there is a relatively large increase in entropy. It will show by positive delta S. Okay, so enthalpy change is almost zero, but entropy change is considerable. So there is a large increase in entropy when a chelating ligand replaces monodentate ligand. So that means chelate effect is predominantly due to entropy change. So, or you can say entropy change is a primary driving factor for the chelate effect. So according to this result, your option second is the correct answer for this question. That is, chelate effect is predominantly due to your entropy change in the system. Okay, there is no change in enthalpy. Okay, I hope you understand it. Okay, so now we move towards our next question, and see, it says this complex shows red phosphorescence due to transition, and we have four options. Okay, so in this question we have a complex of chromium 3 plus ion, and this complex show red phosphorescence, and what transition is responsible for this red phosphorescence out of these four options. And this question is coming for 4 marks. That means this question is related to your part C. Okay friends, so let's do the solution of this question. Now in this complex, we clearly see that chromium is present in +3 oxidation state, and for chromium 3 plus it is 3d3 electronic configuration. Now first of all, we draw a orbital diagram for the 3d3 electronic configuration. So for 3d3 electronic configuration, this is the orbital diagram where excited term is 4p and ground term is 4f. This will be 4t1g, this will be 4t2g, this will be 4a2g, and this will be 4t1gp. Okay, this is the orbital diagram for your 3d3 electronic configuration. Now in this question they will ask you about red phosphorescence, and we know very well that for what is the condition for red phosphorescence. The red phosphorescence condition is, red phosphorescence occurs when spin forbidden transition occur from higher energy state to ground state. When spin forbidden transition occurs from higher energy state to lower ground state, that means this transition is related to your red phosphorescence. Okay, so on the basis of this statement, your option number first and seconds are cancelled out. Why? Because they contain spin allowed transition. Okay, so we have left only option number 3 and 4. Okay, so first of all we write that phosphorescence is spin forbidden transition. Okay, but in option first and second, these are spin allowed, so they will be cancelled out. So they will be cancelled out. Now we left only option 3 and 4. Okay. In option 3 it contains transition from 2Eg to 4A2G, and in option 4 it contains transition from 4A2G to 2Eg. They are spin forbidden transitions. So now we know that phosphorescence occurs when electron comes from excited to ground state. When electrons come from excited to ground state, there is another condition for phosphorescence. That first one is it is spin forbidden. So these both transitions are spin forbidden. But the another condition is electron comes from excited to ground state. Okay. So in phosphorescence, electron comes from excited to ground state, and on the basis of this orbital diagram we clearly see that in the case of chromium 3 plus 3d3 system, the ground state is 4A2G. So that means the transition from 2Eg to 4A2G is related to your phosphorescence, because this in this condition transition arises from excited 2Eg state to ground 4A2G state. Okay. So your option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Understand? Option 4 is wrong. Option first and second are also wrong options. Only option 3 is the correct one. So your option 3 is the correct answer for this question. Now we move towards our next question, and see, it says the complex that shows orbital contribution to the magnetic moment is, and we have 4 options. So friends, in this question you must find that what complex show contribution of magnetic moment, orbital contribution of the magnetic moment in its magnetic moment value. And this question is coming for 4 marks. That means this question is also related to your part C. Okay. So let's do the solution of this question. Now friends, in octahedral complexes there is a general concept that decides whether there is a contribution of magnetic orbital there is a orbital contribution of magnetic moment in the value of magnetic moment or not. Okay. And the concept says that in case of octahedral complexes, complex having d1, d2, d6 and d7 electronic configuration will show orbital contribution to the magnetic moment. Remember, this is the concept behind the solution of this question. So in case of octahedral complex, remember octahedral complex having d1, d2, d6 or d7 electronic configuration will show orbital contribution to the magnetic moment. So in these 4 complexes, the complex which has d1 or d2 or d6 or d7 electronic configuration will show orbital contribution to magnetic moment. Okay. So we check one by one. Now in first complex, that is Cu H2O whole 6 2 plus. In this complex copper is present in 2 plus oxidation state. So now copper 2 plus means its electronic configuration is 3d9. That means it has 9 electron in its d orbital. So that means there is no contribution of orbital there is no orbital contribution to the magnetic moment. Okay. Now in second option, that is nickel H2O whole 6 2 plus. This is nickel 2 plus. The electronic configuration of nickel 2 plus ion is 3d8. So there is also no orbital contribution to the magnetic moment. So no contribution. In third option, that is CO H2O whole 6 2 plus. So cobalt 2 plus, it's 3d7 electronic configuration, and we say that d7 electronic configuration show orbital contribution to magnetic moment. So there is a contribution. Okay. And in fourth option, Cr H2O whole 6 2 plus, this chromium 2 plus, again electronic configuration is 3d4 for chromium 2 plus. So there is also no orbital contribution. So out of these four complexes, only your option number third shows orbital contribution to magnetic moment. Option third. Okay. So option third is the correct answer for this question. Understood? Okay. So now we move towards our next question, and see, it says the room temperature magnetic moment in Bohr magneton for a monomeric copper second complex is greater than 1.73. This may be explained using the expression, and we have four expressions. Okay. So friends, in this question you must find the correct expression which represents the reason behind the greater magnetic moment of the copper complex at room temperature, and its value will be greater than 1.73 Bohr magneton. And we have four options, and this question is also coming for 4 marks. That means this question is also related to your part C. Okay. So let's do the solution of this question. Now friends, there is a concept behind the solution of this question, and the concept says when we calculating a magnetic moment for any complex, and when the ground state of that complex is singly or doubly degenerate, there will be a different formula for finding magnetic moment for this complex. Okay. I can write this concept. See, in calculation of magnetic moment when ground state is singly or doubly degenerate, there will be appropriate formula for magnetic moment is for magnetic moment is mu is equals to mu as 1 minus alpha lambda upon del. This is the correct formula for finding magnetic moment with singly or doubly degenerate ground state, in which alpha is constant, depends on ground state of complex, constant depends on ground state of that complex. Alpha is a ground state, okay. Lambda is Ls coupling constant. Lambda is Ls coupling constant, okay. And del is field strength. And now in this question we have copper 2 plus complex. Copper 2 plus iron. For copper 2 plus iron, the ground state is 2Eg. So 2E, that is singly degenerate. Singly degenerate condition, okay. And for singly degenerate condition, we have a appropriate formula for magnetic moment. So this formula will be used when the ground state of that complex will be singly or doubly degenerate. Okay friends, so according to this formula, your option first is the correct answer for this question. Okay, see in the corner, your option first is the correct answer for this question. So it is a direct formula, but remember this formula is only used when the ground state of that complex is singly or doubly degenerate. And in this question, copper 2 plus is singly degenerate ground state. That's why here we use this formula for finding magnetic moment, and because of this formula, its value will be greater than 1.73 Bohr magneton. Okay. ओके सो फ्रेंड्स, ये थे आपके कुछ क्वेश्चंस जो कोऑर्डिनेशन केमिस्ट्री टॉपिक से CSIR नेट जून 2016 में पूछे गए थे. आई होप आपको सारे सॉल्यूशंस समझ आ गए होंगे, लेकिन फिर भी किसी भी तरह की डिफ़िकल्टी आपको कोई फेस होती है किसी एक्सप्लेनेशन में, किसी लैंग्वेज में, किसी भी तरह की कोई फार्मूला नहीं समझ आया हो, कोई कैलकुलेशन नहीं समझ आई हो, तो प्लीज़ कमेंट सेक्शन में आके ज़रूर पूछिए. ओके, I will try my best for explaining the problems. Okay, so thank you, and thank you for watching.